Detroit, we have inspired the world through our fashion, films, TV shows, and especially music. Whether you call us Motown or the Motor City, we are the culture. Detroit welcomes you to the Culture Conversations podcast. ATNetwork presents the Culture Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Thompson II. Today, we got my man, Ken Walker, K Walker. He yes, just sir. Be out here walking. What's up, my guy?
What's good, bro? What's good?
It's been a minute, man.
I know. I think we sat on your couch at your store years ago.
Man.
Was it the same couch?
The upper row?
Yeah.
Yeah, back, in my high fashion days.
Yep. Still at them.
Hey, man, I'm just, steady still trying to keep moving, man.
Oh, for sure.
I see you still on your high fashion, man. I like the leather,
yeah, cargos.
The cargos, man.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to get me some now.
Yeah, I got you.
Word.
Got you.
Word. I appreciate that, dog. So what's been going on, my dog?
Nah, I just been busy, man. Since we talked last, opened a store in Midtown. So brick and mortar, going into my third year, so I signed a 3-year lease there, so going into my last year there. Mm-hmm. And I also teach at College for Creative Studies, fashion brand management course, so it's been keeping me busy.
It's funny because I remember when you were sitting in my store, and we was talking, you was talking about the vision for you to open your store.
Yeah, ain't that crazy?
And it was like a crazy time period. I commend you for even doing it after COVID. Bro.
I know. And that was before COVID when we talked before.
Yeah, that's before COVID because when COVID hit, I was like, it's time to shut this boy down after it being about a year. I think it was about a year that we was just a storage facility. Yeah. I was like, nah, I'm done with this. Mm-hmm. So, but no, we had some good times, man. It was some historical moments up in the upper row, bro. Like
I still remember that opening.
Man, It was dope.
Yep.
It was dope, man. I remember your opening.
That was it'll be 2 years in November next month. Yep.
So tell us about with the store. Let's talk about the store first, and then let's get into the collection.
For sure.
But talk about your entrepreneurial experience, like what you have to go through to even open up a brick and mortar. Because the people, I know that during my period of time, the questions that I got, but you in a whole nother period of time. Mm-hmm. So, and it's different. Like, people try to say, like, it's the same, but no, it was different for you.
Sure.
So, like, let's talk about that. Like, your process of, and even what made you still do it after coming off of a world shutdown.
It was always the vision. And I'm real hard-headed when I got a vision for something. Like, you can't tell me nothing. I don't care what the economy look like. I don't know what the bank account look like. I'm like, if it's something that I set my mind to do, I gotta do it and I gotta learn by hitting my head. And for opening a store, that was something that I had decided to do around the end of 2018 when I launched the brand. Mm-hmm. And then my brand was in a store called Detroit is the New Black on Woodward for about 2 years, which started right the month before the pandemic started.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And then she closed the store and reopened that fall. But I learned, I was kind of just learning like what I wanted the store to be and what tools to kind of leverage here in the city. So I did a Tech Towns Retail Bootcamp program that summer, and it really just helped me understand all the due diligence of running a store. Mm-hmm. And I, when I write something down, it's impossible for me to not do it. And I
love that program. Yeah. Shout out to Tech Town. I actually won that pitch competition.
Yeah,
that was a dope experience, bro.
Yeah, so that's honestly where it started. I set the intention when I did that program, and then 2 years later, I'm looking for locations. Yeah. And, I connected with, shout out to Laura from Fern. Mm-hmm. She had a store right by the Kitchen by Q in New Center. And she connected me with Sue Mosey, who's over Midtown Inc. Mm-hmm. And she showed me the space I'm at on Cass Avenue. Mm-hmm. And what's crazy is that the store is literally 2 blocks away from where I went to high school at Detroit School of Arts. Mm-hmm. So I kind of sat there. I was like, wow, this is kind of destined to be.
And DSA facility is amazing.
Yeah, amazing school.
Shout out to DSA.
Yeah, so
Sue was a boss, though.
She was. Still is.
Yeah, Sue. Yeah, I know her as well, and to see this woman, the way she has purchased these buildings and maneuvered through these powerful men in the city, is amazing. Yeah.
So I leverage the community, but also connections are everything, especially here in Detroit, because it's a big city, but the connections are very small and few.
Facts.
And you gotta not burn no bridges, but also leverage, the opportunity. So when Laura made that connection to Sue, and Sue learned more about my vision, she said, I know where I want your store to be. This is the area I want more shopping over here on Cass. And for me to be the first private label store over there, we made that the PR story, of course, but also it meant more to me to be a part of the fabric of the community that wasn't as walkable as it is for people now. When I was in high school,
none of us, and that was our downtown was our hangout. Like that's
so
what we did.
Changed. So that's been just a learning experience, and with a store, now I have a destination where people can experience my brand and the products. So it's been interesting, learning the journey. Just around.
So tell me this, before we get to the brand, I want to get to the brand yet.
Yeah.
With the store, give us a picture to where, like, how like you would hear a Nas or Jay-Z and they start rapping and you can just vividly see it, or Big, you can see it. So walk us into the K Walker store. Give us that experience. Like, what do you experience when you walk in there? Can you paint a picture?
Yeah, so we leverage the industrial aesthetic of the space. It's a space that has exposed brick walls, concrete floor, all black ceiling. My brand colors are gold and black, and I got lucky because that space has a kitchenette area where the light fixtures are actually gold as well. A lot of the furniture and a lot of the fixtures that I brought into the space hit off that aesthetic. It's a white wall in the back where I have my logo. The backwards K is donned on that wall. The clothing is all meticulously merchandise for the reason, because we get a lot of natural light in the space. So I'm real particular around how everything is organized. And it's open, I know how it is to go in stores and it's so much stuff and you just feel frustrated trying to find something. I make it easy for somebody to walk in a store and get an experience and really just be able to look around and maneuver and have a thought of how things would look as well. I do a lot with glowing things. I have like these mirrors that are rimless that are on the wall with lights. So when you're standing in front of those mirrors, the attention is on you. So everybody feels like they can show up as their best selves when they're trying stuff too. Yeah, so that's what, it was the thought too. And I opened a vinyl shop in the store too. Music has always been integral in my design process. So I brought that to the store. So we do sell vinyl records, and it's one of the first vinyl record stores of all black music in Detroit. And none of it is like reused. It's actually new albums, old albums from every genre and era, all in one place. But it's a space that I want everybody to come in and just feel pulled in, but also for the products to, to shine in the best light as well.
Dope. Yeah. So, dang, man, I didn't know you for a long time, bro.
Yeah, I know it's been a minute.
Here, man.
It's almost 5 years now.
So, like, what is the K Walker brand? Like, when was it created? What is the significance of the backwards K? And, like, tell us how this brand was created. Like,
yeah, I mean, the brand was birthed during my marketing career, but the vision of it started when I was about 14, a year before I went to high school. And that was really where I literally, everything I've done, I've always written things down. So I wrote down that I wanted to create this clothing empire when I was about 14. Went to college and I was in my marketing degree program. I remember being in my marketing classes, writing how I can apply that to building a business one day. I knew I was going to have to get a job after college, but I was like, I'm going to leverage this. Like, how do I build my own business, build my own marketing strategy? So I started to think about, like, well, iconic brands, their brand identity is what keeps them timeless. So I loved Ralph Lauren. I loved Louis Vuitton. But what I noticed about those brands, they had iconic brand marks. So I was like, I can create a brand, but how do I really stand out? So when I was in college, I went to Italy on a study abroad trip, and that really just opened my eyes to craftsmanship and how brands really do stay timeless and what it means when you see a brand that has made in Italy in the inside. So I was like, well, what about from Detroit, product of Detroit. What does that mean to people globally?
But Italy is known for their stitching.
Yeah.
They're known for their craftsmanship. Like, so I mean, I love Ralph Lauren as well, but Ralph was more known for the stars and the Hollywood lifestyle and all those
American
things.
Dream. Yeah.
American Dream.
Yep.
But that Italian leather is different.
It is, and you can tell when it's Italian.
Yeah.
The cut, the fit. So when I came back home after that trip, I remember I was sitting in my dorm and I was like, I'm gonna create this brand. And I was talking to a friend of mine, like me and him been friends since like first grade, and him and I tried to start a brand at one point. That didn't work out, but it was crazy. Like the way when we were like collaborating on what our brand would be, I had like a whole separate like Microsoft Word document of what K Walker would be if this don't work. So when that didn't work, I was like, oh, well, this is what I got to put my energy towards.
What was the name of that?
It was called Ken and Mark.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. And I had graduated, and it was probably 2 years into my career where I was like, I got to start my own brand. You know, I'm doing all this for these other companies. And the backwards K, I remember when I was in college, I knew I was like playing around with like brand identity, like what would be the logo, the brand mark, that thing I could put across products and things I could just keep forever. So the backwards K was my way of kind of having something that was disruptive but also intriguing.
Okay.
So I looked at like LV, I looked at Chanel, the C's, the G's, and Gucci, the F's, and Fendi. So I was like, all right, if my brand is K Walker, I can't, be like Calvin Klein or these other brands. I was like, I can flip it and still have the period be in the front. So it's something that people are like, wait, it's a backwards K, but it's a K when you see it. And I was learning about Jean-Michel Basquiat, where he had paintings where he would write and then he would cross out the words. So it was more intriguing to the eye of like, what's behind the words? So I was like, if the letter is backwards, that's intriguing. So it's always been like a conversation starter. It's something that I put across multiple products that, it just helps to bring an aesthetic that I think a lot of contemporary brands are losing because they're trying to just leverage graphics. Yeah. But me, I wanted to be a cut and sew crafted contemporary high street brand, and that was just really the.
So is your brand cut and sew?
Everything.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
I rarely do graphics. The only t-shirts I've ever released were in 2018 because I had to put models in shirts with backwards K's on them. I've
always done both because I love the merch game too.
Yeah.
So it's funny because in fashion, I actually got into fashion on the business side first. Dealing with the tech packs, dealing with the marketing side, all those, and especially with coming through. I came through music, so and doing the merch and all those things. So like, I love to talk about the fabrics and the color, the coding, and every color has a special code. People don't know this stuff. Yep. And like, I just love when it comes to entertainment and fashion. I nerd out on it. I love.
They intertwine. Think about like the expression. People gonna use clothing as a vehicle to communicate that. And you see brands, they leverage the entertainment industry.
Everybody.
Pharrell is head of Louis Vuitton men's.
Everybody loves it. But so when we creatives, we really like, especially when we come from music, it's like we go across boards. Right. Especially like if we're producers and writers, we end up moving in these because it's like you gotta think about the way sound waves and then the lines and all of that is connected. And people don't think of it in that nature. No,
exactly. And when you're assembling a collection, it's like putting an album together, and you think about the right producers, the writers. So you thinking of how you gonna source the product the best way, where to get it from, where the zipper comes from, where the velour, all those things are put together, and it's not one person doing those things. When people build creative departments, it's multiple people handling all these things, but one person is standing in the front, saying that I'm the creative director, but you got a whole team of people that actually created the whole collection. They brought their own input to it.
I even got so detailed even on how to make a hoodie. Like just the neckline and how the different type of strings that hang and, the cloth material. Like it just, the patches.
Exactly.
Patches are even sewn,
All that.
Yeah.
And that was something that I told somebody recently too. They was like, they looked at, I had like hoodies, like think the last 3 collections, and they thought it was just like blanks, and I put like a chenille embroidered K on. I was like, no, like my manufacturer from the arms to the middle part, that's all put together. And it's all measured because I know the way I want it to fit. Yeah. Versus just a blank where I'm just stamping a logo on it. You know. So.
It's funny, like even with stuff like the shirts and the hoodies and stuff, the back. You know, the way it tucks to the how you want it to tuck here. You know, it's like.
And you can tell when you're wearing a bad hoodie when the waistband is too tight.
Oh, yeah.
People are like, what's this? Like, you know, because it doesn't bring, and it's not inclusive to different body sizes too. And that's for men and women, you know. So I listen to them, and they usually tell you what sizes and how they want things to fit. But also you got to like know where the industry's headed and where the trends are, but also how you can disrupt what everybody else is doing, you know. And I think we're in this landscape where I think a lot of brands, people want to dress up, so people are trying to figure out what are my pieces, what are my garments now, because like having a shirt, t-shirts are easy, you know. The most challenging thing.
Some t-shirts aren't as easy though. It depends on how deep you can go. You can almost go on a rabbit hole when it comes to t-shirts.
You can,
because you got to think about it. You got people. Some people are doing, because I was gonna drop this silk t-shirt collection. Like, that's hard.
Yeah, no,
you know, to do the Silk Boys. It's so many different things you can do with t-shirts too that people just not hitting on. Like even the outside tag on the tag on the outside bottom, and it's so much you can do.
It is. And a lot of people get caught up in graphics that it's so much you can learn from fabric and structure. And I think any true designer will tell you, like, it's overstimulating because you're like, I can do so many things. So what's my aesthetic? What's my collection?
You know where I got messed up at? I'm gonna just say this. Just shout out to all the young designers. Probably in the first 3 years of designing for me, I was offended too much because people weren't appreciating or really caring about certain details that I cared about. Like, dude, did you not see? It's like, same thing, like, I love shoes too. I love all garments. It ain't even just one thing. But I'm like, when I see certain things, I'm trying to see how it's structured. I'm trying to see, like, you know, the colors and the different buttons. I even want to see the detail on the buttons. And then people are like, oh, that look cool. And then when you try to have a conversation about it, like, oh, yeah, all right, cool.
I think every designer feel that way. Man. And then when something wrong, only you see it, nobody else see it. So when you get that sample, everybody, oh, this fine, like, you don't see, they did this wrong. The stitching was supposed to be like this. The buttons, I mean, that was something that I noticed. I had like these satin Coach jackets, and my supplier, my first, I think the first time he sent them, it was a pink satin jacket, and he made the cuffs black and white. I was like, that ain't gonna work. We need white and pink. He made the buttons silver. I was like, no, make them pink too. Like, you know, all them small details.
And sometimes, you know, the manufacturers don't like, this is what we got left. We're gonna throw this on here and see if they go with it.
And that's where the tech pack, you go in the same detail and you tell them, like, no, this is every requirement
of my
for that garment.
Man, I like when we talk about fashion.
For sure. No, for sure.
So, like, this situation how did this CCS, how did this come about? Because you on boards and stuff now,
it's
man.
Crazy.
Talk about it.
Yeah, I met Aki Chocolate. He's the director of the fashion department at College for Creative Studies. Met him years ago. Him and I were actually on a Michigan Fashion Council board that MEDC put together back in 2019, and we only knew each other virtually because we were on these Zooms during the pandemic. So Lauren Hicks from Michigan Fashion Week, she had a panel.
Shout out to Lauren, that's the homie.
That's the homie. But she had a panel, and me and him was on it, and he heard me talking about like my experiences, and after the session ended, first he wanted the vest that I was about to release that because I was wearing it on stage. And he was like, wait, you work in marketing, you have a brand. He's like, why aren't you teaching here? And I was like, I always wanted to teach. And so he gave me the opportunity, brought me to the school, gave me a tour of the facility, and really said that, you know, we have a fashion brand management course that I would think, you know, you'll be the best person to teach that. But also it's a way for me to leverage both of my career paths now in one place. So the students are learning like firsthand from me as a designer, but also someone with a 12+ career in marketing. But also the curriculum I think is important for students to know not only to how to create clothes, but how do you market them? How do you build a brand, but also how do you work for a brand? You know, if they want to work at a fashion house, they should know about the marketing department, finance, all these other.
If you work at a fashion house, you basically an entrepreneur also.
You are.
Yeah, because how you gonna stand out?
Exactly.
Like,
it's called entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
What you're doing day to day, and how are you solving tasks that aren't assigned to you. So it's been interesting, kind of just leveraging.
Which sometimes works better for some people.
Yeah.
Everybody not supposed to be an entrepreneur.
They're not.
And then some people need that budget.
Yep.
You know, I want that budget too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, some people need that budget, but yeah, man. Like, what is some of the age for the students regular college age, right?
Yeah, yep. And I got students from sophomore to seniors in the course at CCS.
Have you had a graduating class yet?
I had 2 seniors in the last time I taught the class in 2022.
Where are they at now? Did any of them land anywhere?
I think the 2 that I know for sure are creating their own brands.
Okay.
And then the students I have now, I have more sophomores and juniors now, so they're trying to figure out what their paths are. I will say what's interesting now, the first semester I taught, probably half of the class wanted to create their own brand. This semester, they all want to work at a fashion house.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out.
I mean, it can be exciting, though.
I know, and it's interesting.
It can be exciting, man.
Yep.
I personally would have did both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would have did both. So are most of these students saying, okay, I'm about to go overseas, I'm about to go somewhere else here? Like, what are they thinking? What brands are they into? I'm just trying to hear, because you're talking to young folks. So
for sure.
What brands are they into? And all
I would say CCS has a good structure at their school where the brands come to them to recruit interns and then eventually entry level employees. So Ralph Lauren comes to the school, Hermes, Stuart Weitzman has a long-standing relationship with the school. And then Carhartt actually donates.
Love them.
Yeah, they partner.
They do a lot.
With the school. Yeah, they got a sustainability course at the school where the students actually are taking scraps from products that weren't used by Carhartt to reimagine those.
And they just
technology.
reconstructing.
It's insane. So when I went to Pitti Uomo, is a big men's fashion trade show in Italy. Aki got me and 4 other brands to go, and we had a Detroit themed booth there 2 years in a row. But the first year, the students had pretty much an exposition of like all of the crafted works that they made for Carhartt. Because Carhartt has a really big imprint in Europe. So we leveraged that to get traction. But what those students can create is just out of this world.
Man, Carhartt. I forgot. Marv told me who made that Big Shine Carhartt that he had on.
Oh, really?
It's a place in New York that did it. That special. I can't remember the name of it, man. But that leather joint he had on was cold, dog. I was like, did Carhartt? I said, they never released that. What is that? No, that was custom, bro. I'm like, I ain't never seen that one.
Custom, that's what it was.
So, but no, Carhartt does a lot though. They really tapped in. They really tapped in.
I love work in progress. That whole like segment of the business. It's like they streetwear side of it. It's crazy. When I was in Florence, they had a work in progress Carhartt store, and they had shirts that said Detroit. I'm wondering, like, these talents probably don't even know where this is, but it was just interesting to see, like,
Detroit more popular than you think, though.
Yeah, but it was interesting that, there, but then we don't have, like, those type of stores here. Yeah. Then I learned that their strategy was to have work in progress.
Not being funny, but between the auto industry and Motown, Detroit is global.
Yeah, it is global,
like,
for sure.
People be like, Detroit is worldwide, bro. Yeah. It's really Detroit to the world.
Facts.
Like, for real. So, like, we be thinking because we grew up here, raised here, like, people know about us a little bit, but no, people know about us all over the world.
They do.
Yeah. So, like, sure, wear that on your chest. Proud, man.
Yeah,
you go somewhere like, I'm from Detroit.
Facts.
Let them know.
Facts.
So, what type of shirt was it you saw when you was in?
It was honestly just a T-shirt, I think. The graphic tee. But yeah, they had like just because it's the streetwear. If anybody familiar with work in progress, it's different from the workwear. So when I went into the store, I was surprised. It was just like a lot of like just stuff you don't see anywhere. And when I saw like 3 shirts that had Detroit dawned, I was like, wow, like we on a global stage
platform,
here
man.
in Europe.
But CCS, this is a dope situation you got going on, man.
Yeah.
Continue to pour into them kids.
Absolutely. It's purpose work. That's what I call it. It's purpose work.
Do you ever go back to your high school and speak or anything?
Yeah,
like that?
what's crazy is that now they have a fashion program.
For real?
So
what was you into when you was there?
Music production.
Okay, I was wondering. I'm about to say, was you a singer, a
music production
or something?
Nah, like I had went there 2005, a music production student. I knew I wanted to create the fashion brand. Like I knew that my first day at DSA. But I had leveraged that it was a college preparatory school. Mm-hmm. So that's how I got to Michigan State. It was a school that just promoted, going to college. Mm-hmm. But they didn't have a fashion program when I was there. So
neither one of us didn't have one when we was
so
there.
I knew I wanted to do it. So when I opened the store was when I learned that they had a fashion program. And shout out to Kim Hall, that's the teacher of the class. Mm-hmm. We connected because a student was actually walking from class one day at 3:30 and came in my store. And I asked where they went to school. They was like, I go to DSA. I was like, I went to DSA too. And they said there was a fashion design student. Her name is Imani. She goes to CCS now. She was a senior. Yeah. I connected with Kim on Instagram. She had me come to the school. Mm-hmm. She was like, we're doing a career day. Could you come and just talk to the kids about how you went here and how they can look out the window and see a store that you created, and open. So it gave me chills at first because I never would have imagined how accessible that was. I didn't have to go to New York and LA and do what I'm doing now. I'm right in literally the city that raised me, and I had the vision right at that school. And now these students that are learning about fashion, they don't have to leave a class that she's teaching and go online and looking at. She's like, well, it's a designer right up the street that went here too. Of course I can do it, and it's just the most purposeful thing to see.
That's what's up, man. Yeah. I know that makes you feel very proud.
Yeah, no, for sure. Absolutely.
So how does your family receive it? Because I saw a lot of them at your store too.
Oh, yeah.
Are they helping out?
You said what?
Are they helping out at all?
My sister works at my store. Probably one of my best employees. I would say I fired a lot of people in the last 2 years.
Yeah, because she the boss.
She run the show.
I know. I watched her run the show.
She be and she my eyes and ears. I think what people don't realize is that if you got family that see what you started from nothing, all they want to do is help.
Yeah.
My mom, my grandma, they send me stuff all the time to be a part of, and they root me on, you know, and so that's empowering. But also, they always encourage me to do what I'm doing. I remember my mom, when I told her I wanted to go to art school and she wanted me to go to Henry Ford Academy to become an engineer at Ford. Yeah. I was like, but I want to make clothes. I want to do fashion engineering. I want to put clothes together, not cars. Yeah. So she respected that. Yeah. And was like, well, if you're going to go to that school downtown, I'm only dropping you off. You got to take 3 buses back home to West 7 Mile. So I had to, make the sacrifice every day until I could drive. And so for her to see what I created, I think it still amazes her. Yeah. I remember the day they was putting up the sign at my store, and I was at the dentist, and I was like, my mom was like, can you go to the store? They got to put the sign on the building. And she cried. When I pulled up, she was like, you created this. You told me about this.
She said, I created you and you created this.
I remember going to my grandma's house in 2017. And I told her, Mom, I want to create this brand. And she listened to me talk about it. She was like, okay, you just need the money now. So what we about to do to make sure you got the funding that you need? My first investor was my older cousin, Jermaine, who lived in Dallas. He was the CFO for the Dallas airport. First $5,000 I ever got to do what I'm doing was my own cousin.
That's love, man.
For sure.
It's hard to get $5 out of a girl sometimes.
For anybody.
$5,000, for real. Yeah. That's what's up.
For sure.
So where do you see your brand going in the next year, the next 5 years? Where are you taking this?
Next year, I want to get the brand to other stores. My eyes are set in a Saks to have my brand placed. So product placement in these higher end stores is the vision. So I'm learning more about wholesale strategy. Obviously going to Pitti Uomo, I got to meet other buyers. So I'm kind of learning what that looks like. I do see the brand growing globally. I want to have an imprint in the European market. So I'm looking at London as one market. Okay. And then other regions in America too, so the brand is a Detroit brand, but I got to get some presence in Chicago, in New York, in LA.
Do you promote it as a Detroit brand? Or you promote more of your story?
It's a part of my story, but every product says product of Detroit in the inside of it. So, and when I say product of Detroit, it means that, you know, this is a city that I'm bred from, and the you know, the way I'm constructing these pieces to be timeless, to be coordinated with anything, and to stay in your closet forever. That's inspired by me as a Detroit native, but that can translate so differently to other parts of the world.
Yeah.
But also athletes, you know, I really want to tap into that. Back in 2022, I did like a jersey for the Pistons G League team, which really inspired me about, you know, tapping into that. So if I can get Lions players, Pistons players, you know, anybody to wear this brand, you know, I think that's really going to take me across the moon.
Okay. That's what's up, man.
For sure.
Good luck on that.
I appreciate it.
So, like, when you said one interesting piece that music helped you create.
Yeah.
So, like, what fabric of music, like, what music are you listening to that helps you that inspires you?
I mean, that started early on because my great uncle is Levi Stubbs, who was a part of the Four Tops. So music was always in my household growing up. And that was probably what made me, I'm thinking of like just going back to when I was a kid and what made me say, I want to be a music producer. I didn't excel at that art, but it was a interest I had because I really loved instrumentation. I loved listening to lyrics. And a lot of that was hip hop, R&B music. You know, and I remember when I was in high school, learning that how impactful hip hop culture is on fashion. And look at where streetwear has and how that's embedded into luxury brands now. And look at how they're looking at us as the pioneers to set what the trends are, to lead the culture forward.
We control the cool.
You know, and I'm just like, how do I leverage that? So, you know, one interesting thing is my first fashion show, everything down to the song that the models came out to, that was all a playlist for a whole year and a half. That I would listen to every day when I went to the gym. So I was visualizing what this show was going to be. So I remember the day when we was like practicing the actual show. I remember I was playing the music and somebody was like, wow, this like all just flow together. Cause I'm like, I've obsessed about how they supposed to be walking, how they should be looking, the confidence they should have. When I did New York Fashion Week, I had a song called, I think it's called Don't Want Your Love by Anders. It's like an indie artist. And it was all about this girl that, you know, he breaking up with, and I don't need her love no more. Yeah. And I was going through a breakup, and I told my models when we was in New York, I was like, one of the models was like, he's like, all right, so how you want me to walk? He was like, think about that girl you broke up with. He's like, all right, bet. And walked out there and killed it. You know, so the music was instrumental into the emotions that I wanted to evoke with the collections, but also that confidence that I wanted anybody that's working with me to have as well.
Got you. So have you been able to really being single? Has that helped you to be able to focus on and be a little selfish? Because kids, nobody.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's a gift and a curse. I think as creatives, you need somebody that understands the creative mind and can give you that space. You know, it's days where I'm just mentally exhausted. I don't want to talk to nobody, you know, because I didn't create it all day and I really just wanted to stress. But also I learned from a lot of my mentors that are all married, you know, that gives you a foundation. You know, you ain't got to be in the streets because you got somebody that's your biggest cheerleader that's rooting you on. Like Jay-Z said, like, I want somebody I could bounce ideas off at night. And I haven't found that yet. You know, somebody that just get it. You know, I think they look at anybody as a entrepreneur, creative entrepreneur, anybody that's influential. Some people get intimidated by that. They don't feel like they're good enough for you. Or they just feel like you're just so busy. But what they don't realize is that we make time for what's important to us. So as a creative, I just haven't found anybody that understands like the way my mind works. And I think being a creative, you get more selective of the energies. Because you know how easily you can get knocked off course and distracted. You're like, I'm not creating. I don't got no purpose. That's how a lot of people get strung out on drugs. Because you're just messing up their essence. You know what I mean? And I like kind of getting a feel of somebody if I'm dating them. But it's really interesting to see like how other creators that I know that are married, they just found a match. Somebody that just really gets it. They respect them. They give them their space. They let them have a moment. You know, you need your time to do what you do. But also, if you have a muse, is even more impactful. I mean, I was watching Ralph Lauren's documentary, Very Ralph, on I think it's on Hulu, and his wife was his muse for Ralph Lauren marketing. He made sure every woman that modeled for him could not wear makeup because all he thought about was his wife and the natural beauty that she had. And look, if you look at his advertisements, it's not over stylized. It's all just into this American dream of, you know, the aesthetics and the simpleness of it. I think it's powerful when you can meet somebody and build something with somebody and they are complimenting what you're building as well, and not taking away from it.
Well spoken. You've practiced this before.
My therapist. We talk about this in therapy.
That's a good way to send someone home too. Like,
for sure.
I just don't think that our energy fit.
I bring it up all the time. Energy, if it's one word I probably use a lot, it's energy. And when it's off, you know. When the vibes is off, you know. And you got to call it how it is. I mean, I think anybody going to respect, you know, any woman going to respect the honesty if you let them know, like, you know, I just don't think our energy is much, you know. I'm doing this, and I never tell people I'm too busy. Never. Because you're going to know if I'm giving you my time.
Yeah.
You know, so if I tell you, yeah, I don't think we just aligned. I don't think we on the right path. I'm doing this. You figuring that out.
I'm definitely going to pay attention to what you're saying when we out places now. Right, like, I want to hear every line you kick to somebody, dog, every time. You got to call it what it is. Because I see you explaining a lot. So now I'm about to pay attention to what you're saying.
Sure. I mean, it's growth, though. I mean, I learned that in therapy. Just like, I think communication is the one thing that's a lost art. Yeah. People don't communicate what they not feeling. It's like you go through that honeymoon stage, but when stuff go wrong, you don't know how to just call it what it is.
Yeah.
So, you know, gotta do it.
So what pieces are you dropping or just dropped collection wise? Like, tell us about some of the pieces.
Yeah, so for fall, I have these velour polos. This is one of them. It's like a French vanilla color. I got it in black and also got like a Merlot red. I'm doing a lot of trousers, so dress pants. I have these leather cargo pants. We got our embossed sweatshirts that we dropped. And going into 2025, I'm working on my first women's and kids collections. Okay. Which are two different segments for me. It's been in the works for about a year now. Women have always been like 80% of my sales. So I kind of rode that wave of like gender neutrality with pieces, but now women want stuff that's form fitted for them. Yeah. So, but also I'm cognizant of women from petite to curvy that want something for them and their kids, you know. Yeah. So that's really been a lot of like my work I'm putting in right now.
You know, I understand.
It's a lot, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Sourcing, sizing, all that. You know.
Yeah. That part I do not miss.
Yeah, it's a lot. And you got to have a team. I mean, I got one like associate designer that's been working with me since 2019. Really? Who, you know, helped me develop all my tech packs. He sketches and illustrates everything. So if I can grow my team to have more of him, I can delegate a lot more because for me, it's like as a visionary, like you want to stay there. You want to stay thriving in the vision for the brand.
Maybe that was from a problem. I didn't have anybody.
Yeah, no, it's a lot to do.
Like every piece you saw, I designed every single piece.
And it's a lot of work.
Oh my God.
You get burnt out. So if you can't have somebody else, hey, bring me some ideas, let me change those and get some ideas. You know, if you look at like videos that Virgil Abloh did when he was working at Louis Vuitton, they would bring him stuff and he was like, change this, put this pocket here, put this
That's how you're supposed to do it.
That's how a creative director supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's real. Man, dope conversation with my guy, K. Walker, man. We appreciate you coming through to the Culture Conversation podcast. Every time, man, you never disappoint me, my guy.
No, it's a pleasure to be here.
Man, continue to keep striving and pushing, man. Always. And keeping fashion first.
Always.
Fashion forward.
Fashion forward. That means two different things. Yeah.
It does.
Let up.
Well, everybody, we thank you for tuning in to the Culture Conversations podcast. It's Detroit to the world. And we just want to say, what up, though, all our people out there. Make sure you tune in. Peace.